Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And 9.0.5 is the next patch incoming to the Shadowlands, and there is a lot of changes when it comes to classes and balance and tuning. So I wanted to review what my top 4 biggest nerfs are moving into 9.0.5. These are specializations that you will want to make sure that you know this information if you're going to be switching to them, or if you're combating against them, because the way you play around them is going to dramatically shift. And one of these biggest nerfs is literally today. It's this morning on March 1st. And it was quite a doozy, and I'm seeing a lot of outrage about it for the players that play that specialization. So let's just get started here. Moving into number 4 for the biggest PvP nerfs, we're going to be talking about the Retribution Paladin. And the one that seems to be floating around and people are uncertain of where they can find it or how to read it, and I totally get why, is this conduit here. The extra spells from Ringing Clarity now have a longer delay between hits. Additionally, area of effect judgments hit by Divine Toll are no longer reduced by 25% in PvP, and judgments triggered by Ringing Clarity is reduced by 25% in PvP. So basically, it's going to do its maximum damage, but it's not going to shoot you all at once. So I say that this is like the difference between a Tommy gun and a grenade launcher, right? A Tommy gun, you're just right, and it's really fast, hits you all at once. Now it's gonna just be like like you're gonna get hit hard, but you're gonna have more time to react. So in my mind, this is a nerf, because I mean the main strength of this was that you just absolutely disappeared. They would press Divine Toll and you would just outright be dead. You wouldn't really have a lot of time to react. So this, in my mind, is a very big nerf, because that was the reason why the ability was so powerful. However, Retribution Paladin only comes in at number 4 because some of those nerfs are being offset by buffs, but some of those buffs can be a bit misleading as well. Your Final Verdict legendary is going to be getting buffed by 15%, granting you a little bit more damage on your Templar's Verdict and granting it ranged. However, most paladins, other than the tank one, I've been using the tank specialization legendary, the Reign of Ancient Kings, to get that extra defensive cooldown when you get bursted very low health. Perhaps that won't be as necessary if we end up seeing more consistent base damage classes like Warlocks, as I'm anticipating coming through. This may not be the case, so you may actually want to opt for this. So you do have some benefits to look for. It's not just totally the end of the world. However, I think that this will be a very noticeable nerf, and I thought that it was worth mentioning, and a lot of people were very confused on what it was. Where do you find it? This is the update. Now, coming in at number 3 is going to be another Paladin specialization, the Protection Paladin. And this is one that you may not be aware of, but this is going to be a nerf that makes Protection Paladin a lot less frustrating to engage with. It is their honor talent, the Steed of Glory. It will now grant immunity to roots and snares only. No more immunity to polymorph, no immunities to stuns, right? And the main reason that this was so powerful was combined with a conduit for paladins, increasing the duration of their steed. They would be immune to crowd control for 20 plus seconds, running around, healing with Word of Glory, and doing a lot of damage. This was the main reason we saw players in the tournament, the AWC tournament like Drainer, able to play Protection Paladin as a solo healer. I don't think that this will now be the case anymore, where you can play Protection Paladin as a solo healer. However, Protection Paladin is still doing a ton of healing and a ton of damage. So in compositions with a healer, like a Discipline Priest or a Warrior, I think that you will actually still likely see it. So it's basically just removing Protection Paladin as a standalone healer, not really addressing the primary grievances, complaints about the spec in PvP at the moment, being that it is just very difficult to kill and has too much instant healing. But you will now no longer get frustrated, when the Paladin steeds up and you're like, wait, I stunned that, didn't I? Where'd the stun go? You're not going to have to worry about crowd control immunities from the Protection Paladin. That is a big nerf to Protection Paladin as a solo healer. But as I said, because it's still quite a powerful class, it's only coming in at number 3. Because it will still likely function in those comps with healers like Discipline Priests and melee DPS like Warrior. Now, coming in at number 2, and this was the update that just came out this morning, and I'm seeing a bunch of tweets on it from PvE and PvP for this class, and that is the Windwalker Monk. So the first part of this is not going to be a big effect in PvP, however it is in PvE. Stacks of Mark of the Crane would previously be maintained for the full duration even if the target died. However, on the 9.0.5 PTR, if a target that was marked by the Mark of Crane dies, that stack will be lost, lowering the damage of Spinning Crane Kick in these situations. So if you were AoEing trash pulls, you would be getting increased stacks of Mark of the Crane and obviously doing more AoE damage as a result. That's a massive nerf when it comes to PvE. And then the one that affects both PvE and PvP is this one. While Storm, Earth, and Fire was active, when a Windwalker casts Fists of Fury and then cancels it to cast other spells like Rising Sun Kick, the clones would previously be able to copy the other abilities while also still channeling the first initial Fists of Fury to its maximum duration, doubling up all of the attacks. Now, the clones will cancel Fists of Fury to cast the other spells. On paper, you read that and think, well, that makes sense, right? The clones should be replicating what you're doing. You can't channel Fists of Fury and cast all these other spells at the same time, right? You would think that this makes sense. However, it is a very big nerf. This also in PvP, if you're a monk, you start channeling Fists of Fury with your Storm, Earth, and Fire images out. Everyone's punching. You get stopped. Your images still keep going. This makes me think that the images aren't going to keep going. And then they lose that double up as well. So this is a very big nerf to that burst moment for Windwalker. Storm, Earth, and Fire is kind of a pivot point for the class outside of Zwen, which is usually used with Storm, Earth, and Fire as well. So if targeting this cooldown specifically in a bug fix, which inevitably ends up being a nerf, has resulted in a lot of players saying this is the end. Rip Windwalker. It's over, whether it's PvE or PvP. Due to this level of notoriety of this change, I'm curious to see if they go back on it. Remember, this is PTR. The patch is still not live. Once more testing follows through with this to see how devastating it really is, perhaps this is something they go back on. But again, with the strength of Windwalker currently in the game, which is surprising in PvE because I feel like people were underrating Windwalker a lot until Trill randomly came through with the Race to World First, and now it's in Mythic Plus as well, and it's in PvP. It made sense for something to be happening, but the way that this bug fix has gone through, we'll have to wait and see. But in my mind, this is why it's only coming at number 2. I would have said number 1, but I feel like this is one where there's so much attention on it that it's possible it gets reversed. So I put it in as number 2, but it could easily be a number 1 nerf. Now coming in at number 1, and I don't really think that this is any surprise to anyone, this is going to be the Holy Paladin. Now there are 3 specific nerfs coming into Holy Paladins, one being Holy Shock costing more mana. Now Holy Shock is the strongest heal in the game in my mind. It's instant cast, and most of the time tops the target and provides you Infusion of Light. It is a crazy heal. You pair it up with Divine Toll as well, and then you get 5 of them. I mean, this Holy Shock is just, it's the best heal in the game in my mind. For Holy, obviously Word of Glory would have a good contestant as Ret or Prot to be the best heal in the game, but for Holy Paladins and for healers, I think Holy Shock is a very effective heal. So putting a higher mana cost on it to get access to an instant cast heal means that you're going to run out of mana a little bit faster. And Paladin was still contesting for the best mana regeneration in PvP, even despite the recent mana regeneration nerfs. So a little tweak here just really evens it out with all of the other healers. And then the more significant changes coming in for Holy is the Divine Vision. This is now no longer going to be Shadow Resistance Aura. You're no longer getting 15% damage reduction to Shadow Dots. I covered that in my top 5 buffed specs or specs to check out. But does mean that your Aura Master will be reduced by 1 minute. So perhaps in these compositions where Mage Paladin are playing together, this is to offset the amount of denial of casts, right? There's a lot of ways to interrupt polymorphs. There's a lot of ways to interrupt heals. So if Paladins are going to be needing to cast more heals, it's likely they're going to need ways to get around it. So by making Aura Mastery a minute cooldown less, I think it's down to 2 minutes as a result of that, means they can set up their mages to blink in for polymorphs or Door of Shadows polymorphs or even Repentance or just healing if they need to. Or they can utilize it with Devotion Aura to get extra damage reduction on a lower cooldown, which is a little bit more play involved with the match rather than just passively deleting dots. So I prefer this alternative. And I've seen games where Paladins actually forget to spec into Shadow Resistance Aura and still play really long games into damage over time effect classes. So it's a big nerf, but we'll have to wait and see if it really like completely shatters the spec. In my mind, the way that I view this nerf to Holy Paladin is that they're on this pedestal at the moment, and they're just coming down to earth. You know, it's a big nerf from where they are. They're gods, and they're coming down to earth to the realm of the mortals. You know, the realm of the Arrested Shamans, the Disc Priests, the Holy Priests. Right? They're just coming down to earth. So it's a big nerf. But I think it will even the playing field out between all of the healers. You shouldn't feel like, oh wow, I'm throwing my paladin away now as a result of this. But another nerf is that ultimate sacrifice will now only last 6 seconds. It was 12 before, only 6. So you only have 6 seconds to get that target that you're usually sacrificing at 1%. I don't know why it is the case that the target gets sacrificed at 1% health all of the time, especially in tournaments, but it is. You get 6 seconds. So if that target gets cycloned or you get polymorphed and that thing falls off, you're going to lose it. So you're going to have to be very anticipated with your sacrifice usage now, rather than kind of just, I'm going to hold on to this as long as I can. Okay, they're at 1%. Oh no, I don't have 6 seconds to get them back to full health. It's ending. Okay, the game's over. It's going to create more intensity around a cooldown that is like one of the best cooldowns in a burst meta. So I think this should add more interesting gameplay to Paladin specifically. So while, again, this is a massive nerf, you're getting taken down from God status down to Earth to the realm of the mortals, I still think you'll be a solid healer. You still bring the best stun in the game of the healers with mobility and enabling fire mages, which are still likely to remain strong. But now with Windwalker potentially being nerfed, as we said in number 2, you may be looking elsewhere for partners in 9.0.5. But other than that, this is just a quick overview of the biggest nerfs that I've seen in patch 9.0.5. If you liked the video, leave it with a thumbs up. Comment down below with your thoughts about 9.0.5. Do you think these nerfs are justified? Do you think it's too much? I'd love to hear your opinions on it. Do you think they should go back on that Windwalker change? But I just wanted to give you a quick update. So stay subscribed to the channel. It's absolutely free. It just lets you know when my videos go live. So you're interested in getting this information up to date in real time, you'll be able to find it here by doing that. And other than that, thank you very much for watching the video. I will see you in the next one.